Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. Yesterday had a lot of marquee Christmas Day matchups. The first one was a nail-biter between the San Antonio Spurs and the New York Knicks. Wemby had 40 points in that game. You had the other one with the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks. I think Luka Doncic got injured at some point during that game. 6 points differential at the end of the game. Then you had the Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers. Another entertaining game. 4-point margin in that game. You had the other game with the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets. Phoenix ended up winning that game 110-100. And, of course, you have the game between the two biggest stars of the NBA, with LeBron James and the Lakers versus Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors. And that game ended up being a 2-point game with the Lakers winning on an Austin Reeves layup at the buzzer, basically to win the game there. And it was a very entertaining game. And it's also important that I point out that Anthony Davis got injured in the beginning of the game. He only played 7 minutes. He didn't play. But the people that did well was Rui Hachimura. He stepped up. He gave him 18. LeBron had 31 and 10. Max Christie had 16. Austin Reeves had 26 points and a triple-double. And, of course, you had Dalton Connect, who came off the bench to score 13 points for them. And Gabe Vincent gave him some good minutes. So it was a good game, entertaining game. I was kind of watching it on and off. But the Lakers were ultimately able to hold on. Stephen Curry went bananas in that game. I believe he finished the game with 38 points. If I'm not mistaken, Stephen Curry finished with 38 points. And he hit, how many threes? He hit 8 out of 15 three-point attempts. So it was a very entertaining game. Now, the network that carried those games was ESPN. They were carrying all the Christmas Day games. And in the studio, it was Stephen A. Smith, Malika Andrews, and Kendrick Perkins. Now, I want to say this. When LeBron fans come to our channel, they always say, oh, man, all you do is talk about LeBron James. All you talk about is LeBron James. All you talk about is LeBron James. And I say to them, LeBron fans are obsessed with Michael Jordan. They're the ones that are constantly comparing him to Michael Jordan. Constantly. Jordan fans do not compare Jordan to LeBron. It's the other way around. They compare LeBron to Michael Jordan. This is how it's always been. Without no MJ, there is no GOAT conversation. So they're the ones always comparing, bringing LeBron up when it comes to Michael Jordan. So what happened? I think it was at the end of the game. They were in the post-game coverage, I think before the Phoenix game, if I'm not mistaken. And ESPN, in typical ESPN fashion, decided to drop this graphic that Malika Andrews herself must have been a part of. And they bring up this graphic where they're essentially saying, oh, you know, LeBron James has 30-point games, and he's only one game behind Michael Jordan for 30-point games. And as she was reading the stat, you could hear Stephen A. Smith get annoyed, and he just basically snapped on her and just basically said, like, yo, why y'all bringing this up? Like, yo, what are we doing here? Like, LeBron played 7 more years in Jordan. Like, what are we doing? And he just went off on her like, yo, like, what's going on at this network? And that's exactly what they do, always find a way to hate. So what we want to do is we're going to play what Stephen A. Smith had to say to Malika Andrews. It's less than a minute or so clip, and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what he had to say to her here.
But it's about the greats. It is about Steph and LeBron. LeBron had 31 and 10. Steph Curry had 38 points. Oh. And look at this. Most 30-point career games. LeBron James just one shy of tying your GOAT, Stephen A. Michael Jordan.
LeBron James is phenomenal. He's great. He's on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. He's not Michael Jordan. LeBron James in his 22nd season. Michael Jordan played 15.
It's just one stat.
Why are we doing?
Stat
the other day I brought up the buzzer beaters. Look, Michael Jordan outscored him 9-7 in buzzer-beating game winners. But guess what? LeBron has played 7 more years. Can we stop?
We can for now. We can. It's just a stat. It wasn't meant to attack you personally. But let's talk about a little bit more greatness.
Attacking Michael Jordan.
Let's talk about Christmas Day greatness. Yes. How about we do that, Kendrick Perkins? Is there a single player or performance that impressed you the most today?
So you heard what they had to say, right? You heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say. Like, yo, what are we doing? What are we doing? And this is the thing about what Malika Andrews was doing and what these people do. They give you these stats without any context whatsoever. Yes, LeBron is one game behind Michael Jordan when it comes to 30-point games. It is true. But as Stephen A. Smith pointed out, LeBron James played 7 more seasons than Michael Jordan. And if you understand the context of this comparison, you would know that it's not worth even bringing up. Because what that number actually says is, or that graphic shows is, Jordan is way more impressive as an offensive player than LeBron James is, because it took him 7 more years to accomplish just one of the things that Michael Jordan did, which was having 30-point games. And to me, what gets me is how LeBron fans could feel like this is something to celebrate. What are you celebrating here? If LeBron played 5 more seasons than Michael Jordan, you guys wouldn't have this record. So again, what are you celebrating? We already did a stat on the channel the other day where we did Jordan's average. And if we took Michael Jordan's average, and if he played the exact amount of games that LeBron James played in the NBA, and you did his average in terms of seasons, okay, Jordan would have scored how many years? 22 years. Jordan would have scored about 44,000 points by now, if I remember properly. About 44,000 points or 45,000 points. That's what Michael Jordan would have actually had at this point of his career. LeBron fans don't want to hear that. So it's one of the reasons why when LeBron fans are talking about, oh, he scored 40,000, we don't care. We don't care. It just means that he's been playing longer. But if Jordan had decided to play longer, he would have more impressive numbers. But the thing is, Jordan didn't care, and he already said it. Jordan says, I'm not playing for stats. He said, if I was playing for stats, I would have played for as long as I could to try to break a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar scoring record. He said, but that's not the reason I'm playing. He said, I play to win. That is the fundamental difference here. He plays to win, not for statistics. But this is what ESPN does. And LeBron fans sit up there and talk about, oh, people are always talking about LeBron. No, you dudes are always trying to compare LeBron to somebody. And in this case, it's always Michael Jordan. It's always them. You see, LeBron fans feel like there's an attack on LeBron. No, what has actually been happening is that what's actually been happening is people are pushing back on the LeBron James narratives that are being propagated all over the internet. So when these LeBron fans see people pushing back, they feel like, oh, somebody's hating on LeBron. It's like, no, people are pushing back on a lot of the stuff that these people in media have to say, a lot of the stuff that these LeBron fans have to say. It's the pushback they can't deal with. They view pushback as hate. They just want to have an open lane where they can sit up there and twerk it up without any issues. Just people coming in with brink structures, pouring more and more honey on top of them, and they don't want the music to stop. And the minute somebody walks in the room, cuts on the light, and sees these LeBron fans sliding up and down the floor with honey all over them, lathered up, shaking it up, twerking it up with ones flying all over the room, they feel like somebody's hating on them. It's like, no, we're pushing back on the twerkation. It's too much. It's enough. I keep saying it. Look, I said to my wife just on Christmas Day, I said, because some of y'all don't understand how much honey slapping these LeBron fans be doing for LeBron. Y'all know one of the things is that LeBron fans go around calling LeBron James my king. Do you know, I almost said a word that I can't say on YouTube. Do you know how that word sounds? You know how you dudes be sounding? So one of their biggest twerkers goes out there and he does a show, and this dude had the courage. This dude had the courage. This is supposed to be, and this is going to be a dude that's going to go outside and try to holler at girls. Talking about my king LeBron James need more. Yo, what is wrong with you dudes? What is wrong with you dudes? Why are you calling LeBron James my king? Bro, that's something his wife should call him. Why are you dudes fighting her for the right to call him my king? What is really wrong with you dudes? Why are you calling him my king? And so I told this to my wife, I'm like, you know the LeBron fans that actually call LeBron my king? She goes, ew. That's the first word that came out of her mouth. Ew. But these LeBron fans be on it like that, son. These dudes be sliding up and down the pole when it comes to this dude. And then when you call about it, they be, oh, you're hating on LeBron James. Oh, LeBron James. Oh, LeBron James. But it be these dudes. running up on you, throwing honey at you. You got to dodge them and like matrix these dudes out of there because they trying to rub it on your neck so you can be down with them with this twerkation. I don't understand. But here again, you have another example of these LeBron fans running up on you, trying to throw you in a bear hug and talking about say LeBron is the king. So like, yo, this is what they be doing. Some of you dudes is watching this show talking about, hey, yo, but that's the type of time they be on. I don't understand why another man is calling another man my king. Bro, what are you doing? Why are you dudes doing this? Stop. Like, stop. Cut it out. Enough. Stop. Like, break it up. Like, son, it's enough. So I just got to point this out. These dudes have no shame with it. Talking about my king LeBron James needs more help. And you actually had the nerve to go do a video like that and then be on the video doing it. And by the way, we're going to be launching an exclusive Dreamers Pro community very, very soon. And if you want to be a part of it to ensure that you receive a one-time offer, please make sure you join the waiting list. We have over 300 people signed up already. So if you want to receive that one-time offer, only the people on the waiting list, please make sure you go ahead and do so. One of my favorite shows used to be ESPN First Take, right? ESPN First Take, especially back in the day when Stephen A. Smith used to be a contributor, Rob Parker used to be a contributor, Jalen Rose used to be a contributor. I think Ryan Clark at the time was new on the show. And Chris Broussard, right? They have some very, very, very classic episodes. That's when Skip Bayless was much, much younger. He had a lot more vigor, a lot more energy, and he was really letting it out. Like he was going at cats when it came to defending Michael Jordan, right? He was really defending Michael Jordan without any sympathy whatsoever. So what happened? Given the fact that I like to watch some of these old videos, I came across a clip here, and it says flashback. Chris Broussard checks Skip Bayless over LeBron Jordan debate. Then Skip goes insane. And I believe this was it says 2018. I don't know what that means. This clip couldn't have been in 2018. It had to be much, much, much before. It was when LeBron was in Miami. So I click on this video to see what these guys were talking about. And I knew I was going to be entertained thoroughly. So essentially what they were talking about was some comments that LeBron made when he was asked about whether or not he feels he's better than Michael Jordan. And LeBron James was essentially saying that no, he doesn't feel like he's better than Michael Jordan. He doesn't feel like he's better than MJ. So Chris Broussard was defending LeBron, and he used to defend LeBron a lot back then, but I never understood why. So they're talking about it, and then Skip Bayless is like, how you have the audacity and this and this and this and this and this. And then Chris Broussard goes off to start saying, but I spoke to LeBron and and he's like, well, how am I supposed to know what you're talking about, believe what you're saying? Because you could be compromised, right? You could have sold your journalistic soul to Clutch and these guys in order to get quotes from LeBron and all of this. I was like, yo, what is going on here? And I'm like, I don't even remember this exchange ever taking place. So what we'd like to do now is we'd like to play what Skip had to say to Chris Broussard here in this exchange. Listen to these guys, very entertaining. I want you guys to listen carefully, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to this exchange here.
Let's now talk about the firestorm that Scottie Pippen created Friday when he told Mike and Mike that LeBron James could be the better all-around player, more so than Michael Jordan. Here's what LeBron himself had to say. He said, Michael's an unbelievable player. I've got a long way to be mentioned as far as one of the all-time greats, not even just Jordan. I'm gracious, humbled by Scottie's comments, especially with him being a teammate of his and seeing Michael on a day-to-day basis. But as far as me, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm better than Jordan. I'm not better than Jordan. What's your reaction to LeBron's reaction?
The operative word to me is humbled. And I liked what LeBron said, but I think it took him about 8 long, hard years to get to this point to be able to say what he said. Because LeBron James made 2 huge mistakes coming out of high school. He embraced the nickname King James and often used it to refer to himself, which was way over the top to me at that point at age 18.
But you could understand how an 18-year-old might do that.
Jordan was Air Jordan before he won championships.
But he didn't. I never heard him call himself Air Jordan. I never heard it, and I heard this guy say it.
It was on his sneaker.
Okay. But the
but
point
there's a different connotation between Air and King.
Right. And
It just matched.
LeBron James at 18 chose to wear number 23. He adopted or stole Michael Jordan's powder toss routine before games. He basically told the world, I am here. I am the next Michael Jordan. You know it, and I know it. And it took him 8 long years to realize, I'm not Michael Jordan. And I think on the decision night, he told you once and for all, I'm not. I've got to go down and join forces with D. Wade and Chris Bosh. And in the end, I think he opted to wear number 6 in Miami because he wanted a fresh start and to get out from under the cloud that covered him on his own doing of Michael Jordan's 23.
Why do you insist on saying that LeBron chose Jordan's 23, chose the powder toss, to set up a rivalry with Michael, to say,
No.
I'm the new Michael, I'm
It's
better
not a rivalry.
than Michael.
He just said, I'm better.
That was
I will be better.
How did he say, I'm going to be better? That was his idol. That
Maybe
was his
he was
idol.
doing it to honor.
This is a young man that didn't have a father
the
growing
powder
up.
toss?
That probably made his idolation of Michael even more so, okay? He was 18 years old. He wanted to choose the number of his favorite player. He copied the powder toss, not as a way of saying, Michael's gone, I'm here now, just out of respect, out of love for
Have
Michael
you ever
Jordan.
talked to LeBron about
yes,
that?
and I know that LeBron, you say it took him years to get to this point. That's not true. I talked to LeBron back in 2005 for a story I did for ESPN the magazine. He admitted at that time, he said Kobe Bryant's the best player in the league. He said, right now I don't have that killer instinct to the degree that Kobe has it. He wasn't going around saying, I'm the best player in the league. I'm King James. I'm this. I'm that. King James just a nickname
Does that change the way
matched
you
his
view it?
last name.
Heck no.
He heard it from LeBron.
I heard it from his
come
mouth.
on.
Can I ask you a question? I've been
You
you
told me once on
You're
this
gonna
show.
take it to
you
the
told
bank
me
what
once.
LeBron James
Hold on. You
told
told me once
I'm
on
not-
this show.
I'm not gonna accept
do
that.
not get
No.
in your heart. Do not tell you what's in your heart.
Well,
how are you sitting
are you
here
gonna
from
accept-
thousands of miles away telling what's in LeBron James' heart?
Because you're way too close to have any objectivity.
I don't have objectivity. I don't have objectivity.
You sold your journalistic
Please.
soul to get
Oh,
close to LeBron
please.
so you can have a
I've
pipeline.
never sold
I
my
didn't do
journalistic
that.
soul.
I have objectivity about it.
You do
I can
not.
sit back. Yeah, I do.
First of all, that's a strong claim. The
Well,
soul is
I
journalistic
mean,
soul.
that's what.
I think
if you're going to question my credibility, that's what you did.
I'm
No, he's
saying
not
you're
questioning
sitting
your
here.
credibility.
You
No,
told me don't say what's in your heart. And you're sitting here talking. Have you ever even had a conversation
How do you
with
know
LeBron?
what's in his heart?
Well, he told him.
He
had
told
a conversation
me.
with
Are you
LeBron.
going to buy that?
Well, here's what
I know what he did.
Say
It
what's
was
in his heart.
outrageously audacious to do what he did coming out of high school.
To what? Exactly what? Take the number 23?
Yes.
Why?
Can I
And to
ask you a
say,
question?
I am King
Wait,
James, he
Jeff,
referred.
What
Yeah.
number did you wear when you played high school baseball?
So you heard what Skip Bayless had to say to Chris Broussard. Now, what's interesting about this clip, beyond the fact that was an interesting soundbite? What is interesting is that just this year, Chris Broussard actually revealed that he is actually represented by Clutch Sports. It was shocking. We did a video on this on July 4th, where Chris Broussard himself said that he is represented by Clutch Sports. So for those of you who didn't hear that audio, I'm going to play that for you now, and I want to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Chris Broussard saying that he's represented by Clutch Sports. Take a listen to that.
Our next guest writes for Yahoo Sports, and also you can check him out on Substack, TomTheFinder.com. We welcome in Tom Haberstroh. Tom, how are you?
Brew, what's going on, buddy?
We are great. We got Ephraim Salam in for Rob Parker. And you and I go way back, colleagues back at ESPN. You do fantastic stuff. And we were just talking about your story on how Michael Jordan's defensive stats, steals and blocks, were doctored, if you will, in home games in 1988. First question, what did Rich Paul and Clutch promise you to write that article?
Now we getting to the bottom of it.
Rich is my man. I'm actually represented by Clutch, so Rich is my man. I'm just playing with you. But this is the LeBron is the GOAT camp is putting your article in frames and putting it on their wall. I'll tell you that.
Well, it is something that I was cognizant of as I was reporting, is that LeBron James has been talking pretty much every year of his career about how he's never won Defensive Player of the Year. and he's really wanted to. And he took issue with Marc Gasol winning Defensive Player of the Year and finishing in the second team all defense. And it's something he's talked about on the shop. And I knew that Michael Jordan's Defensive Player of the Year award, just covering the league for as long as I have, it's one of the most consequential, if not the most consequential, Defensive Player of the Year awards in NBA history because it sets him apart. It is his crown jewel in a sense compared to Magic, compared to Kareem, compared to LeBron. They don't have that on their resume.
So you heard what Chris Broussard had to say. There he is saying that he is represented by Clutch Sports. So it then made me think, damn, was this the case all along, all these years? Was this the reason why Chris Broussard was defending LeBron James so hard all these years? Now, here's what's interesting. And to be fair to Chris Broussard, even though Chris is represented by Clutch, even though he has been defending LeBron James for what feels like 15 years now, he's always been objective when it comes to the GOAT debate, though. He's always maintained that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. And I've seen countless segments on FS1 with him basically obliterating Nick Wright over this Michael Jordan, LeBron James debate. I have seen countless shows. We've done countless shows. So even though Chris Broussard is represented by Clutch, he does maintain the fact that Jordan is the GOAT, irrespective of the fact that he's represented by Clutch Sports. So what that tells me is, even though he's represented by Clutch, he's not willing to go that far. Number one. Number two, I think he does have LeBron number 2 all time. I could be wrong. I think he does have him number 2. He doesn't have Kobe ranked that high. But to be fair to him, I have heard him defend, really argue in favor of LeBron to the point where some LeBron fans have said, I've seen it in various comments, that Chris Broussard is a fake LeBron James. Because in a LeBron James fan's mind, with all that honey circulating through their brain, that if you're not saying LeBron is a GOAT, then something is wrong with you. Like, they just can't fathom a world where you have LeBron and you're not saying he's a GOAT. Like, us Kobe fans, we think Kobe's a hell of a player. We don't think he's a GOAT. LeBron fans, a lot of them cannot deal with that. They just can't come to terms with it. So I have heard him defend that, but it is still surprising to see Skip Bayless, 15 years ago, go at Chris Broussard and basically saying, hey, look, you're bought and paid for. You're compromised by Clutch Sports. I was very, very surprised by that. So what I want to know from you guys, for those of you who never heard that audio, what do you think about it? For those of you who heard it and also heard what Chris Broussard had to say about his involvement in terms of being represented by Clutch, how do you feel about Chris Broussard when it comes to this? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you on the next show. Peace. And by the way, we're going to be launching an exclusive Dreamers Pro community very, very soon. And if you want to be a part of it to ensure that you receive a one-time offer, please make sure you join the waiting list. We have over 300 people signed up already. So if you want to receive that one-time offer, only the people on the waiting list, please make sure you go ahead and do so. Because if you guys have heard Stephen A. Smith, we've heard from various outlets that he's in contract negotiations with ESPN to get a 5-year renewal. According to all of the reports that we've heard, or at least I've heard, that he's looking at a $120 million package over 5 years, right? That's what we heard. So I don't know if that's true, but those are the numbers we've been hearing. Stephen A. Smith has been pretty tight-lipped about it. He said he doesn't want to discuss his negotiations while the negotiations are ongoing and all of that, but we've heard that, right? And to me, I have no issue with him being the highest-paid member at ESPN. I think it makes sense. He's a network. He's the face of that network. And if he's the face of the network, he's the biggest name. He's the one that makes the most headlines. He absolutely should be paid the most. No question about it. But what have we also discovered over the last 2 years now? We've also discovered that Stephen A. Smith has an interest in politics and broader societal issues. He started the Stephen A. Smith Show, where he discusses just this very thing, politics. Hell, as a matter of fact, we did a show on our channel, Here's What I Think. If you guys are not subscribed to it, if you're interested in it, you can check it out. Here's What I Think. My name is Charles Sabansi. Same name as my name, Charles Sabansi. Here's What I Think. Where we talk about broader issues, politics and all of that. And we did a show where we were reacting to a back and forth that Stephen A. Smith had with Roland Martin. Right, where Roland Martin said that Stephen A. Smith didn't have the facts on a particular issue pertaining to January 6th riots that took place. And Stephen A. Smith has also been, people have been coming at him saying that, he's trying to play both sides of the political aisle. On one hand, he sounds like a Democrat. On the other hand, he sounds like a Republican. Hell, I just saw a clip recently that says Stephen A. Smith went on Fox News where he said he regrets supporting the Democrats. So Stephen A. Smith has had an interest about talking about politics. And I think at certain parts of him have some conservative views, right? So whatever. But if you know anything about the company that he works for, Disney, they're a left-leaning company, right? They're on the left. They have a lot of people that go on their shows, front-facing talent, that you could tell that these guys have some liberal views there. And I think there's this internal struggle that's happening with Stephen A. Smith, where he may have some conservative proclivities that he doesn't want to share because of the network that he works for. So what happened? This morning I was going through the internet. I came across an article here from awfulannouncing.com, and it had the following headline. It says, Stephen A. Smith once again insists ESPN deal is not done. Hence, he's still pushing for freedom. So let's get into what this article has to say. It continues on. It says, it's been weeks since news broke of Stephen A. Smith agreeing on a new deal with ESPN, but the First Take host continues to insist it's not finished. This week, the conversation came up as Stephen A. Smith joined Mad Dog Unleashed alongside Chris Russo, a First Take sparring partner who recently congratulated Smith on air for the deal. Smith called talks with ESPN constructive and beneficial, but strongly pumped the brakes on the idea that he is locked into a new deal reportedly worth anywhere between 100 and 120 million over 5 years. Talks have been constructive and beneficial, but we haven't reached an agreement yet. And until that comes, as far as I'm concerned, I've got 6 months or so to go to do the best job I can possibly do, Smith told Russo per deadline, before again refuting that the deal would reach $120 million. When Andrew Marchand reported that figure earlier this year at The Athletic, Smith messaged Marchand directly to set the record straight. At the time, Smith also appeared to push back on the deal being done. But while Smith's new ESPN contract may not reach the eye-popping $120 million that originally caught everyone's attention, Smith told Russo that money is not the obstacle in the way of getting the deal done. The money doesn't matter, but the money is there. That's not the issue, Smith said. For me personally, there's a lot of other things that I want to do, and I want the freedom to do it. We live in a different world, and being able to diversify your portfolio and do things outside of that one job that you may have is incredibly important to me. Because that is of importance to me, that's kind of the thing that we have to work out. From the start of the negotiations between Smith and ESPN, the face of the network made it clear that an opportunity to pursue projects away from ESPN and Disney was important to him. Smith invested millions into his podcast, for which he recently struck a separate deal with iHeartMedia for ad sales and distribution. During the 2024 U.S. election, Smith was a frequent face on Fox News, News Nation, and digital talk shows. ESPN reports Smith's wide-ranging new contract indicated he would have a first-look agreement with Disney for projects beyond sports, which he could place on ABC, FX, or the company's growing streaming platform. Judging from Smith's latest comments, the details of that agreement are still being hashed out and could hold up the deal. Hopefully, we'll reach an accord and be there for years to come. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out, Smith added. And then the article then goes on to say a few other things there. So what are my thoughts on this? Okay, what are my thoughts on this? I think this is a good one, right? This is a good one, and I think is very important. What Stephen A. Smith is essentially talking about is the freedom to be able to talk about things that he wants to talk about. Now, what may be surprising to some people is that you think, well, hey, these guys have all the money in the world. They should be able to, blah, blah, blah. They have freedom. But in reality, a lot of them don't because of contractual restrictions. There's certain things they can talk about. There's certain things they can't talk about. Some of it may be off limits because of sponsors. You need to say certain things and be politically correct about certain things because of the sponsors that you have. You don't want to say things that are going to alienate them, cause you to lose sponsorship dollars. You have that as well. You have other things that you can't say that may not align with the views and the values of the particular network that you work at. And there are a lot of things that I believe that Stephen A. Smith would love to say that he cannot say working for ESPN. And there have been times that Stephen A. Smith has been reprimanded for having views that may be diametrically opposed to those views that ESPN once propagated to the masses. So I think therein lies the issue. Stephen A. Smith is getting to the point where he's like, look, man, I'm making all of this money, but I don't have the freedom to say what I want to say. I don't have the freedom to do that, which then indicates to me that Stephen A. Smith is in search of one thing, which is called FU money. Because when you have FU money, you can say whatever the hell you want to say. I'll give you guys a perfect example of someone that has FU money and therefore has zero fear of saying what he believes. Patrick Bet-David. Patrick Bet-David must be worth, what, $500 million by now? Patrick Bet-David says whatever the hell he wants. Why? Because you can't cancel him. What are you going to do? Take him off of YouTube? The guy is rich anyway. And that's one of the fears a lot of people have, being deplatformed, having their income stream being cut off or whatever it is. But Patrick Bet-David has made all of his money outside of all of these forces that could quiet him, that could silence him. And he's sitting on a stockpile of cash, according to him, a few $100 million he's sitting on. So when you have that type of financial freedom, you can say what you want to say. So the question then becomes, what number do you need to have in order for you to feel like, hey, look, I want to say what I want to say. Right. And for example, let's just go through a thought experiment here. What if Stephen A. Smith did renew with ESPN? He could find himself working at Valuetainment. Hell, they got the money to pay him. They were going to offer Tucker Carlson $100 million. You could see that Valuetainment tries to dabble into the sports arena from time to time. You got a guy like Stephen A. Smith. Number one, you have a household name working there, and they got the money to pay him. Plus, he has his own platform, so it could work perfectly. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. That's what should happen. I'm not saying Stephen A. Smith is ready for that to happen, because not being able to be on the platform that is ESPN with all of the views and all of that, maybe to someone like him, it matters a lot. I don't know Stephen A. Smith. But you can kind of understand, and that's the challenge that we all have. Now, for us here at Dreamers Pro, we decided that, look, we want to talk about other things, so we created another channel. We don't do it for money because, hell, it doesn't make us any money. So we just do it for the fun of it. If it makes money in the future, fantastic. If it doesn't, at least I can get certain things off my chest, right? So I get where Stephen A. Smith is coming from. And by the way, we're going to be launching an exclusive Dreamers Pro community very, very soon. And if you want to be a part of it to ensure that you receive a one-time offer, please make sure you join the waiting list. We have over 300 people signed up already. So if you want to receive that one-time offer, only the people on the waiting list, please make sure you go ahead and do so.